Hello, I'm Gail Ellis and welcome to PEPELT, Picturebooks in European Primary English Language Teaching. And our theme for March is art, and our book of the month is Henri's Scissors by Jeanette Winter. Now, Henri's Scissors is a biography and it tells the life of the French painter Henri Matisse. And it focuses on, in particular, on the later years of his life. Now, I talk about multiliteracies, and I would use Henri's Scissors to develop art and visual literacy. Art literacy is the ability to connect both personally and meaningfully with works of art and understand works of art that may have previously seemed inaccessible. So some children may already be familiar with the work of Henri Matisse, but before showing the children the picture book, I would use one of his works of art as a point of entry. And I have chosen this one. You may know it, and I would ask children questions like, what colors can you see? What shapes can you see? How big do you think this work of art is? How do you think it was created? And I would ask children to say what they think it represents. This is the snail, l'escargot, created in 1953. And I would show children, could they see the snail? And I'd show children this picture so they could actually see how the snail is represented there. And from this picture, they can also gauge the scale of the collage. I would ask if they knew who it was painted by, and if they look very carefully, they can see in the bottom right-hand corner here Matisse's signature and the date 1953. So this pre-picture book stage would introduce children, elicit from children language related to colours, to shapes, to technique and to materials, and it would activate their prior knowledge and help them make connections with both the artist and his work. So I would then introduce the picture book, and as Sandy showed us, the early part of his life is presented in these frames until we get to the point in his life where he has become famous, and we have now have full spreads. And here we have a few of his very well-known paintings and collage. He was happy and his paintings made people happy. But then he fell ill. But when Matisse was an old man, he fell ill. So ill he couldn't paint, so ill he couldn't sit up, so ill he could only lie in bed and sleep. His paintings floated by in his dreams. But instead of giving up, he continued to create and discover a new form of art from his bed and from his wheelchair. Then one day, Matisse picked up a pair of scissors and cut out shapes from painted paper. He was drawing with scissors. Now, as it's a biography, it's narrated in the past, but the narration is sprinkled with actual quotes from Henri Matisse, from letters that he wrote to a friend. And here's one of the quotes here. A pair of scissors is a wonderful instrument. And we could use these double spreads to get children to understand how it is the combination of the words, the narrative, which tell us that Matisse cut out shapes from painted paper, the quote, which tell us that he's using a pair of scissors, and the illustration where we see him cutting out. But it's only the illustration that shows us the shapes that he's cutting out, the type of shapes that he's cutting out. So it's this combination of the three elements, then the words, the quote, and the illustration, that explain this new art form that he has created, drawing with scissors. Matisse cut paper all day. My pleasure, this is another quote, my pleasure in cutting things out grows even greater. Why didn't I think of it earlier? And here we come to another double spread showing a number of his different collages. And here we've got the snail that I used as my point of entry. It seems to me that I am in a second life. Paper cutouts covered his walls. Now these quotes from Matisse, I think, add a real feel of authenticity to this biography, and they let us into Matisse's inner thoughts and feelings. And I'd also like to bring your attention to some of the typographical features that are often found in picture books. Here we've got a double spread. Matisse is lying in bed drawing pictures of his grandchildren on the ceiling, and the text follows the contour of the room. One evening, Matisse lay in bed and drew the faces of his grandchildren on the ceiling with a piece of chalk tied to a long pole. And here the text goes along the facing wall. Now this gives the illustration a kind of three-dimensional perspective. I'd ask children what effect this has. Does it make them feel as if they're actually in the room with Matisse? As he fell asleep, they looked down on him and saw his dreams. And then here again, interesting typographical features. The text now follows the contour of Matisse's forehead, and the word shapes is written in capitals. They saw the shapes that surrounded him in sleep. And it slopes down just like the falling intonation of the voice. And the quotes from Matisse are also in quotation marks. They're in a different typeface, they're in a different color, and they're in a different size. So we then come to this beautiful double spread of the Chiffre, which he painted, collage that he produced in 1953. And we can see the scale of this collage, I think a mural, a little picture here of his bed, and Matisse here looking directly out of us, and another quote, "I am deeply contented, happy." And I think I'd also use Henri's scissors to develop disability literacy, because it shows children how Matisse overcame the limitations caused by his health to create a new form of art. And he continued, and he was really happy, and he continued creating until his death. And the final double spread shows Matisse now in the heavens, sitting on a cloud, pair of scissors in his hands and cutting out a star. And the narrative ends, "Are some of the stars we see at night coming to us from Henri's scissors? Perhaps." So older children may like to write a profile of the artist. What kind of man do they think Matisse was? And of course, it lends itself perfectly to children creating their own cutout collage inspired by Matisse. So if you are in Paris, or if you plan to come to Paris between the months of May and August, the Pompidou Center is organizing an exhibition on Matisse to celebrate 150 years of Matisse. So that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching, and we look forward to hearing from Tasha and Annetta next. Take care, keep washing your hands, and I will see you next month. Bye-bye.